JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 5th of October 2021. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So now then, so let's have a look at some of the indices, that we looked at yesterday. So in particular here, Nikkei, which as you can see drifted lower. It failed to bounce off this downside line that I talked about yesterday, and it did kind of get a brief hold up here. But as you can see today, the index opened with a gap to the downside here, and we drifted lower, moved below all of the EMAs now on our daily chart, and ended up testing this 27,481 territory, marked by the low of the 27th of August. So this is where the index found support, got a bit of a hold up here, rebounded somewhat, but still ended the day below that 208 EMA, and of course all this kind of points a little bit more towards towards further downside, to be honest. We are seeing a bit of negativity here in the near term, of course, but we will go on this one slowly, because basically you can see here, maybe on a bigger picture, we are kind of starting to consolidate here a little bit. Let's see if we're not going to end up forming somewhat of a range. Now again, at the moment, like I said, yes, we got a hold up here near this 27,481 zone. We could still drift a little bit lower. However, be very careful somewhere near this area, near the lowest point of August, which is around the 26,955 55 territory right here. So what could happen, we could see maybe a further slide, but maybe it could get a hold up somewhere around here and then rebound for a little corrective move here higher. So long story short, for now I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside, especially if we fall below this 27,481 zone right here, and then I'll go for that lowest point of August initially. In case this starts reversing to the upside again, well, what I would prefer here to see is, in order to consider maybe slightly higher levels, what I would prefer here, maybe for a push above the 28,343 territory, somewhere around here, marked by the low of yesterday, and then yes, we could maybe go for a bit of a retracement here to the upside. But again, at the moment, guys, yes, this is where the index closed. It closed below that 208 EMA. So let's see if the bears can push this one further south, and like I said, I'll get a little bit more comfortable with that idea if we get a drop below that 27,481 zone. You can see the chat room here. Evu, good morning to you too. I hope you're having a wonderful start of this morning. wonderful start of Tuesday. Coming back to Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, so you can see that the index initially drifted lower, but found some support near this lowest point of September, which was around the 23,771 territory. It did overshoot it by a little bit, but it quickly kind of traveled back up. It's still trading. The index is still running, so it still has around 55 minutes left of trading. So let's see how that's going to play out. But overall, of course, it doesn't. The picture that we're seeing here is not really a very positive one. Since let's say since around middle of February, the price structure, or actually more of a from the end of June, the price structure is of lower lows and lower highs. So that, like I said, doesn't really paint a very positive picture. At the moment, like I said, the what I'm going to stick to right now is, of course, this little hurdle here where we found support again, this 23,771 zone. If we drop below it, then the next target is the lowest point of September of 2020, and that's roughly around the 23,124 zone. However, like I said, for that we need to see the break of this the current, well, not the current, but the lowest point of this September, at least. And in terms of the upside, well, obviously the more comfortable level maybe for the upside would be somewhere from here, from this from a break of this downside line taken from the high of the 28th of June. But again, we could already start looking at some higher levels if we push somewhere above this barrier, the 24,694-95 zone, and then yes, we could take it from there, because if, let's say, we reverse right now from this area here, from this 23,771, and we start moving higher here, we start testing this hurdle, the 24,695 zone, and then we break it, then maybe we could see a possible double bottom formation happening. So which means that we could see maybe a larger correction here to the upside. However, let's not rush into anything. First, let's see what's going to happen with this hurdle here, the 23,771. If we clear that again, then yes, further declines are possible. Now the German index, DAX, and here we have an index which drifted lower yesterday, closed in the negative territory, but remained above this support zone, the one that I mentioned to you yesterday. And this support zone is roughly between the 14,983 and 15,019 levels. Those mark the low of the 1st of October and the lowest point of September, respectively. Excuse me, there we go. So my MT4 started. Now, in terms of the next kind of directional move here, so basically looking at the cash index, we'll see that the price continues to drift slowly to the downside. However, it's kind of still somewhere around here, somewhere around this 15,080 zone, so slightly above yesterday's close, but not really significantly higher, I would say, not really significantly away from this territory. So maybe this is just seen as a temporary correction before another possible slide. But if you want to be a little bit more on the safe side, well, you could start looking at the downside if If we drop initially below that 15,019 zone, then of course we will target this 14,983 territory, and then all eyes are going to be on this 200-day EMA, which if it gets broken as well, then certainly yes, opens the door towards much lower levels. But again, like I said, let's see how this is going to behave today. If it climbs back above this 15,246 zone, somewhere around here, or in a way we could round it up here a little bit towards that 15,250 territory. If we climb above that area, then yes, there could be a chance for a larger correction to the upside, because don't forget that we are still trading below this downside line taken from the high of the 31st of August, which which could still continue providing resistance, guys. Now, in terms of Nasdaq, so the U.S. equities yesterday drifted heavily to the downside. Nasdaq was one of the biggest losers among the top three U.S. indices. Certainly the whole kind of Facebook issue didn't really let's say, bring back confidence in the Facebook stock. So yeah, Facebook declined heavily. Nasdaq followed kind of suit, and of course, looking at this picture yesterday, for example, when I was covering Nasdaq, I said to you that keep your eyes on that 14,555 level. If that gets broken, then certainly it opens the door towards further declines, where our next target was this lowest point of July near the 14,455 territory. So we managed to reach that, and we also managed to overshoot it. So basically mission accomplished here. And what I'm going to mark right now is this this level, the low of yesterday near the 14,385 territory. The cash index is currently sitting at around 14,490 territory. So basically we are still below this hurdle, but we are above yesterday's low. However, if we drift below this 14,385 territory today, then of course this will confirm a forthcoming lower low, and potentially it could attract more sellers who could in their case drive this index potentially could drive towards that initially towards that psychological 14,000 mark, and then towards that 13,946 territory right here, which conveniently coincides with the 200-day EMA. So again, let's see how today's day is going to play out. Of course, looking at this picture overall, it's not really painting a very positive one, so we're slowly kind of grinding lower, as you can see here. But don't get me wrong, at some point we could find a bit of support somewhere here. We could see another recovery, maybe another push higher, and then of course all eyes are going to be on this little short-term downside line taken from the high of the 10th of September, and then of course we'll take it from there. In terms of, let's say, if the reversal could happen a little bit earlier, then what I would suggest here maybe is to keep an eye on this little short-term tentative downside line taken from the high of the 24th of September, and if that gets broken, then yes, we'll go for that maybe larger correction to the upside. Dow Jones Industrial Average managed to stay, or should I say managed to show a little bit better performance, so it didn't decline as much as the Nasdaq did. So yep, here you can see that the index still remains above that 33,742 territory right here. So in other words, if you're looking for some downside on this one, further declines, then yes, wait for that push at least below that 33,742 to 41 zone right here, then yes, we'll slowly start aiming lower, and where my next target could be this lowest point of June near the 33,272 level, which also kind of conveniently coincides with the 200-day EMA. But as I said, to get a little bit more comfortable with that idea, certainly yes, we will wait for a drop below this hurdle here. There we go. There we go. I've put this one as a highlighted one. So, long story short, yes, like I said, a break of that area could open the door towards lower levels. For the upside, well, it's a little bit tricky one here, but basically what we could keep an eye on is maybe the high of yesterday near the 34,410 zone. So a nice good pop above it, of course, would confirm a new high for this week, but it could only maybe open the door towards a short-term move higher, because we do have this downside line as well, taken from the high of the 2nd of September, which could provide a bit of a resistance. Let's quickly have a look at Dxy, the dollar index. So yesterday I talked about this idea here that in a way if it drifts lower but finds support somewhere near this 93.73 level or this steeper upside line taken from the low of the 16th of September, then yep, we might see a nice little rebound here. Well, so far it's doing exactly that. So it found a hold up here, and yep, we saw a nice little rebound here and push higher. However, at this point, I will probably take a very cautiously bullish approach, because I would rather now, looking at this picture here, I would rather maybe wait for a pop above the highest point of September 1st, which is around the 94.50 level here, just to be a little bit more on the safe side with the with further upside. For the downside, of course, preferably to wait for a break of this upside line would be the case, and then of course we could go for a larger maybe correction to the downside, and slowly we'll target these other tentative upside lines. So again, like I said, that's the little game plan here. I do understand that maybe it's not a very comfortable area to be in here, but we rather always wait for that confirmation break. And of course, I understand it maybe sounds a little bit tempting here, but given that we had already quite a decent up move here, and look how far we've traveled here. I mean, we've basically now we are at levels seen in October of last year. So yeah, it's quite interesting here. And another thing, if you're looking at a bigger picture here, for example, let's check let me just check quickly the weekly chart. There we go. So basically on a weekly chart, you can see these two little bottoms here. So one is in January, and one was in May, in the beginning of June, somewhere around there. So basically, we kind of, it seems like we've formed a double bottom pattern here. So we have broken already the neckline of that pattern. So let's see if it can travel higher, and yep, that will be quite interesting to see if that works out actually. But again, coming back to the daily chart, for now, at this point in time, I'll be very careful here. If we do push above this 94.50 level, then yes, I'll aim for some higher levels. Quickly, WTI oil. So good result here for the bulls. As I said to you yesterday, guys, that if we pop above this barrier, the 76.95 level, which is the highest point of July and was the highest point, the previous highest point of this year, yep, we'll create a new high for this year, and we'll continue aiming higher, especially if the price stays above this previous highest point of this year at 76.95. Well, now the thing that we're going to be aiming for, and for this I need to jump into a weekly chart here, and you can see we also managed to overcome the highest point of 2018 as well, so that's quite interesting. And that level is, let me just quickly put this one on the chart. Where's that line? So that area is roughly around is this, just bear with me one moment, let me just check the daily very quickly, see if it, oh, it actually coincides here. So, okay, so that's even better. So this highest point of the previous highest point of 2021 actually coincides nicely with this. No, it doesn't. It's 76.88. So, okay, so the highest point of this year is actually around, is higher than the 2018 high. Okay, but nevertheless we are still trading above these two levels, the 76.88 and the 76.95. Coming back to the weekly chart, let's very quickly have a look at what's happening here. Adjust, and there we go. Okay, so if of course if the price continues to trade above that hurdle, then we could start aiming for some higher levels, like for example this one right here, the lowest point of November of 2012, and that's roughly around that 84.10 zone. Or we could of course go even further north, and yep, one of the levels to watch out here could be this 94.89 level, but again, that's way too big of a jump right now. I would say we'll go higher slowly, and as I said, the next good target here could be around that 84.10 zone right here. But also let me just quickly draw something else here. Let me just probably jump into a daily back. Let's quickly do this analysis. So there we go. Let's draw an extension here and see what could happen further. So if we take roughly from here, there we go. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, so actually not from here, but from this level right here, this recent decline. And so here you can see that, yes, perfectly we managed to overcome that 78.6% retracement on the Fibonacci extension. The 81.33 one is near this level here, the 81.37 level. So that could be a nice good target. I'll keep this on the chart for now, just to see if we're actually going to reach that. But let's see if this 84.10 actually could coincide with one of these levels if I would draw it this way. Okay. Right, not really, to be honest, not really. So let's not over manipulate this chart for now. Basically, let's stick to this 81.37 target as the next possible aim here, which would be at the 100% retracement on the Fibonacci. So yeah, 81.37 level, that's the one to watch if we continue, of course, if we continue to trade above that 76.95 level. Jumping into Ethereum very quickly. So Ethereum didn't really move higher as, for example, Bitcoin and some other cryptos, but it was one of those that remained a little bit on the modest side, but I'm still keeping an eye on the upside here, especially if we pop above the 3,490 territory right here, and that's the high of last week. If we do clear that level, then certainly, yes, we'll slowly start aiming higher towards the high of the 16th of September near the 3,674 level, or we could target the highest point of September near the 4,028 level right here. But again, let's not rush into anything. Let's go slowly on this one, step by step, and yes, for now, keeping an eye on some of these levels here, especially for the downside. Also, the 3,174 level, it's the one to keep an eye on in case this decides to move a little bit lower here. If we drop below this hurdle, and yes, we'll aim for the downside, but I'll pick up on that if we do get that move eventually. Silver, quick update on silver. Good rebound here, as you can see. We found support near this this 21.43 level. From here we rebounded, we pushed higher, and now let's see if we're not going to form something of a maybe an inverted head and shoulders here, because again, I've talked about this previously, so we do like these formations sometimes, but basically, if it's going to struggle, let's say, to move above this 22.88 level straight away, then yep, we might see a bit of a retracement here, which we are kind of seeing today right now. But let's say if it finds support then near this 22 area and then starts reversing back up, then yes, we could have ourselves here a possible inverted head and shoulders pattern. But again, let's not rush into any conclusion yet. For now, keeping an eye on this barrier. If we pop straight away above this 22.88 zone, then yes, I'll aim for this downside line taken from the high of the 11th of June, just to see if how it's going to play out near it. However, if it starts falling and remains below this 22 level, then maybe we're not really done with the downside. AUD-NZD, so here, if you remember, last week and the week before that, I was talking about this downside line taken from the high of the 13th of July, and which, as I said, if it gets broken, could open the door towards higher levels, where we could initially target this 1.0418 level, which we managed to reach perfectly. So basically, in a way, everything's kind of working out here nicely. And another thing that's working out interestingly is the fact that this hurdle here, the 1.0554 level, 1.0454 level, which I've initially aimed for as a good resistance level, now it's doing a job and acting as a good area of support. Well, let's see if that's going to continue, and if it does, then yes, my next target is the 1.0542 level. However, if the pair suddenly starts falling somewhere below this 1.0418 zone right here, the highlighted one, which is basically the lowest point of December of 2020, then then yes, we will consider maybe a bit of a larger move to the downside. USD CAD, so there we go, we broke this upside line. Of course, as I mentioned to you yesterday as well, that keep an eye on the oil prices, and yep, those rose, and yep, we saw the pair here drifting nicely to the downside. Now, this is where the kind of the, I wouldn't say the problem, but the tricky moment here comes in, because basically it seems like we were confirming a possible head and shoulders pattern here, but now it's it did break the neckline near that 21.26 territory, did drift lower, but now as you can see that we are kind of pushing back up. So in other words, I would say let's ignore the little head and shoulders pattern here for now. If by any chance the pair climbs back above this upside line and above this 21-day EMA, then yes, I'll aim for the downside, especially also. Oh, sorry, I'll aim for the upside, especially also if it pushes through this downside line taken from the high of the 20th of September. Now, but again, that's in terms of the upside. For the downside, if we get another drop somewhere below this 1.2583 territory, then yes, I'll aim for lower levels. Gbp Usd, quick update. So you can see that we managed to reach this downside line. I talked about this one yesterday. This downside line is taken from the high of the 14th of September, and yep, so far we're getting a nice little hold up here. But again, let's continue monitoring this, because if by any chance it starts, let's say, breaking this downside line, then yes, we'll aim for slightly higher levels. However, if this downside line continues to provide a resistance, then another slide could be possible, especially if it falls below the 1.3518 level. Quickly, before I run out of time, actually I need to rush through a few of these very quickly. So, if you remember Euro Ruble, I've talked about this pair a while ago, and I said that if we drop below this 85 territory, somewhere around here, then yes, my next target is the 84.28 level right here. And yep, we managed to reach that. So currently we're getting a little hold up slightly below that hurdle, but if we continue to slide, my next target is the 83.45 level here, marked by the high of the 1st of May of 2020, or in other words, the highest point of May of 2020, and that's going to be my next target. Especially if oil continues to rise, then yes, this pair might continue drifting a little bit more to the downside. Euro USD, very quickly on this one. So yes, we had a nice little recovery yesterday. But today we're seeing a slide back down. However, as I mentioned before, I'd still prefer to see a drop below the 1.1563 level in order to get a little bit more comfortable with the downside, because such a break here would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and yet potentially more sellers could join in here. For the upside, a break of this little short-term tentative downside line taken from the high of the 14th of September is needed in order to maybe consider slightly higher levels here, at least in the near term. So guys, that's it for this session. I do apologize for rushing through this very quickly at the end, but yeah, I need to jump off. But thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, guys, and have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.